My newest book is called Fagin the Thief, and it is genuinely, I know authors always say this, but it's my favorite thing I've ever written. This is the book of my heart, and it took me 3 books to get there. But Fagin the Thief is a retelling of Charles Dickens's Oliver Twist from the point of view of Fagin, who is one of the main villains of that story. And I have loved Oliver Twist since I was a kid, and I've been angry at it since I was a kid too. So I wanted to kind of dig into that world and give Fagin the story that Dickens never gave him. It's one of the most, I think, accessible Dickens novels. Like, it's not a 8,000 page doorstopper. It's a pretty concise story of a kid, an orphan who kind of gets sent out into the world on his own, and he falls into uh, lawless company. He comes into like a collection of pickpockets and thieves and criminals, and he has to kind of find his way out back into goodness and make his way in the world. So like that's the story on the face of it. Nobody reads Oliver Twist because they're so excited that Oliver comes back and makes a good life and makes money. Everyone's like, tell me the story about these thieves. They're so cool. They're so interesting. This is the Artful Dodger. This is Bill Sikes. This is the underworld of Dickensian London that, there's been a million different spin-offs of it because it just captures your attention in a way that the nice story about the kid finding a family is never going to do. It's funny because Dickens gives you so much in the original Oliver Twist, and at the same time he gives you nothing. Like the original character of Fagin is so interesting to me, but it's also so flat. He's the ringleader of a band of child thieves in London, and so he teaches them how to pickpocket and sends them out, and they come back with your handkerchiefs and your watches and whatever, and they're like go out and do his bidding. And like that's an interesting concept on its face. But beyond that, most of the character that Dickens gives Fagin is he's a Jew and he's a villain and he's ugly and he's a Jew and he's terrible and he's a Jew. He must call him a Jew, I think 380 times in the book. It's mind numbing. But even so, he's still a really distinctive, really interesting character in the original. He still feels alive and he feels funny and clever and interesting. And I'm like, you're so close, Dickens. It's right there. Just take it one more step. So I wanted to hold on to what in the original was interesting, but like that's 1/3 of a character. I want to know what the rest of it is. Where did he come from? What does he actually think? What does he feel? What happens? Because Dickens gives you none of that. One of the questions I had going in was, okay, how does he become a thief? This is not like, you don't go to school to become a pickpocket. This is a series of circumstances that get you somewhere. And so like part of it for me was figuring out what is his background like? What's his family like? What kind of options are open to him? But also like, why does thieving in particular feel good to him? Because I think it does. Like it's fun and you can tell he's having a good time. And so like being able to capture the moment of when he first sees somebody pick a pocket out in the streets and like something lights up inside him and he thinks, that's power. That's control. That's magic. And I want to be able to do that. That really made sense to me. And it's even better when you're like, these people think they're better than me. These people have all of the money in the world. They have all the power in the world. And I got to take something and they don't know I have it. And when they figure it out, they're going to be like, they got the better of me. That's what it felt like to kind of crack Fagin as a thief. It was partly this gives me power and partly a fuck you, which is really satisfying. Bill was a super interesting character to write. And I came into the process of writing the book expecting to hate him. I didn't think I was going to have anything particularly interesting or admirable in him because the original is so, I mean, Bill Sikes is toxic masculinity in a person. That's all he is in the original. And I was like, I don't care about that. That's not interesting to me. But you can't write a book where a character is one-dimensional if the whole point of the story is let's see what these people are like as real people. So I had to sit down and think, okay, why would Fagin want to be associated with Bill Sikes? What about him is interesting to him? Because he could pick any child off the street and teach him to steal. There's something about this guy. And you're right, it was I see something of me in you. There's that sense of, I've been where you are, and I see where you could be going if I don't help you. And also, you can be useful to me. You can bring in money, and you can help my life be better. But it's a lot of it is I don't want the future for you to be what it could have been for me. The Artful Dodger was just a joy to write, and I really wanted to make sure that he got in the book because I start well before the events of Oliver Twist, and the Artful Dodger is like 8 in Oliver Twist. So it's like, okay, we have to make sure we get to the point where he's born and can show up and can be interesting. But he's just a little shit, and he takes such joy in that. He's 8, 9 years old and thinks he's the smartest thing that's ever been on two legs, and he is in a way. He can, steal circles around people who were 3 times his age, but that's just really fun to spend time with that character who has the kind of self-confidence that like I can't relate to personally, but it's fun to play with.